is the introduction, right?
Yeah.
Which basically, is it on the same
No, in a different slide,
different slide or different presentation?
different presentation.
This is the one here.
This one, yeah.
What I put this.
Next one.
No, we shouldn't have, okay. We should move these two. Okay, so this is his.
Yeah.
Okay.
4
Here,
slides from there.
4 slides.
Yeah.
Put them here, right? After the. We don't need this one. What is your slides? Happened there. Oh, here they are. You need to cut them. And go here. And paste them. Because this is how we want. After with this,
Yeah.
we okay. Okay, live? All right, thank you. You can sit down, I will call you. Okay. Right? Good morning and welcome to the 2023 Spring Land Grant Seminar Series. I know today is a busy day because of the College of Agriculture and Human Sciences Week. So I assume this is also a contribution to the celebration of the week for the college. I would like in the beginning of this seminar to remind you about our MS degree program, Natural Resource Environmental Sciences, that will start this fall. We are encouraging people to apply. We would like you to encourage interested students to apply to this new degree program. So please spread the word around. We are accepting students for the fall semester. It's my pleasure to introduce to you today the speaker for today. The first one is Dr. Anup Vittal. He is a postdoctoral researcher at the Natural Resource Environmental Systems and the Cooperative Agricultural Research Center of the College of Agriculture and Human Sciences. Dr. Vittal conducts research on topics. Sorry, I'm showing both. Oh, showing both because I was looking at the screen. Okay. Dr. Vittal conducts research on topics related to water security, drought, flood, water scarcity, and water quality. So all the extremes that we could have in water, and also climate smart agriculture. Jointly worked with ARS, USDA ARS in Fort Collins and Colorado State University as a postdoctoral fellow before joining us here at Prairie View A&M University. He also holds a doctoral degree in civil engineering from Clemson University, South Carolina, His work focused on quantitative assessment of water security at different scale. He completed his MS in water management from IIT in India and his BS in agriculture engineering from Kerala Agricultural University. Dr. Vital assisted our group with at least 7 funding proposal submissions. He was very active in helping, contributing to proposal writing for the water teams. Dr. Vital also has been very active in writing publications, as you will see as we handle this. Okay. What? Sorry.
It's showing the.
Yeah,
bar.
you can leave it. That's as soon as I'll finish from here. So he completed the project sustainable to the Minnesota River Flooding project that we worked with Texas A&M Center for Disaster. Also, Anup presented his research at many international meetings, AGU, South of America, local reference conferences like urban agriculture conferences and many PV conferences held locally here. Anup was an organizing committee member of the 2 conferences workshop that we held the past 2 weeks ago here at Prairie View A&M University. He also participated in several extension outreach activities for prepared 2 fact sheets that he led, and also was a co-author of the other 4 fact sheets that he contributed to. With that, I will welcome Dr. Anup Vital to give us the presentation for today. He's going to share it with Dr. Atikur Rahman, who is second speaker after this. So maybe I should continue and introduce to you Dr. Rahman as well, so then I don't have to interrupt his presentation. Okay, I guess if you can show me, it's showing 2 different screens here. Dr. Atikur Rahman, he's also another postdoctoral fellow who joined us a little over a year ago. He graduated from South Dakota, North Dakota. So I'm switching you 1 state down, but it's from the Dakotas. So North Dakota State University, where he got his doctoral degree there. He also worked, before joining us, he was a professor at, you go down, see here? No, this presentation. Oh, no. Hold on. Okay. Go down 1 more, please. No, 1 more, one more. Another one, down. Yes, that's one. So he conducts research on soil, water, and environmental systems, emphasizing water and environmental quality and climate-smart agriculture. As I mentioned, his doctoral degree was in agricultural engineering from North Dakota State University. Previously worked as a research associate at Mayville State University in North Dakota as well, and a faculty at Bangladesh Agriculture University in Bangladesh. Next slide, please. Atikur assisted developing at least 6 funded proposal submissions. He co-authored 1 article, completed 1 manuscript for submission, and 2 others in preparation since he's joined here Prairie View A&M University. He's contributed to several projects, currently assisting several other projects for managing and smoothing running. Contributed to Minnesota flooding project. Also, he did the land use changes. He mentored and trained graduate and undergraduate students for different programs, including the exponential learning and also the reprogram, the Ag Discovery, and the REU. Atikur presented his research finding in 5 national and international conferences. Also, he participated in several extension and outreach activities, and contributed to the 6 fact sheets that we just finished on several of our projects here. So he also was an active member of the organizing committee for the conference and the meeting that was held for the 1890 institution students and postdoc. With that, I will call on Dr. Anup Vittal to start the presentation. And sorry for the technical difficulties we're having.
Slideshow or the-
No, it's a different one, the second one. Yeah, this is the one.
Hey, morning all.
Morning.
My name is Anup and my friend Atikur. We both will be presenting today. And the topic is related to the fieldwork that we conducted last year from April to September. And we will try to present our results based on that experiment. And our topic is research and extension on climate smart practices, fate of soil carbon and chlorophyll synthesis under a seed corn cropping system. So first, I will explain about this climate smart agriculture. So I heard this term, this climate smart agriculture, when I moved from Fort Collins to here in Prairie View. So in 2021, I started working with Dr. Faris and Dr. El Hassan, and we directly started, when I moved to here, we directly started implementing some climate smart agricultural practices in our field located in the campus. So what is climate smart agriculture? Before that, according to UN agency, it's called Economic and Social Affairs Agency. Per year, we are getting up to 15% of emission from agricultural fields. So this climate smart agriculture that has 3 pillars, as you see here, that focus on addressing the challenges of climate change and food security through sustainable agricultural production for reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Then something more about this climate smart agriculture. So according to EPA, during 2019, the total emission from agricultural fields, especially from United States, was about 10%. And in that 10%, 55% was contributed due to the crop cultivation practices. And 39% was from livestock. And the remaining 6% was from the tractors or trillers, the machines that we use in the agricultural fields. So we can see a lot of emission is from the crop field. So at the same time, our population is increasing, and according to FAO, their 2015 report, that says that by 2050, there will be addition of 2 billion more people, and we have to increase our production by 70%. So based on FAO, they put forward this climate smart agricultural practices is a good solution for sustainable agriculture as well as for reducing this GHG or emission from agricultural fields. Okay, let's move to the next slide. So in this slide, so as I explained, our United Nations and FAO, they are doing a lot of activities, or they are preparing a lot of laws for reducing this GHG emission and for reducing the global warming. But really, that's effective or not? So a recent report from Stanford University, they says that within next 10 years, the global temperature will increase up to 1.5 degrees. And maybe within 20 years, or the temperature may rise up to 2 degrees Celsius more. So as you see here in the right side, so there we can see the percentage change, or the temperature increased from 1980s to the current period, that means 2020s, and what will happen in 2090. So you can see the United States and Texas there. We have in United States, it's already increased more than 1.5 degrees Celsius. And the bottom figure, it shows, if you remember, there was a hurricane, and that is marked as the most devastating event in entire world. So that was happened in Florida in 2022 December, and that killed about 160 people and made a lot of economics impact in United States. So these are some examples of this climate change impacts. Again, I want to discuss more about this climate smart agriculture. So according to researchers and extension agents, how can we implement this climate smart agriculture? One of the best practice is the soil amendments and that we do in our field. The soil amendments, instead of applying fertilizers directly to the crops, we amend that to the soil. And the soil, at the same time, the soil can act as a sink for carbon or a source for carbon. And still there is debate going on this. So what will happen if we, to the same soil, if we add different amendments, if it will act as a source or as a sink? So our experiment focus on that line. So I wrote this line here. There is a need to study more about the effects of soil amendment practices on carbon dioxide emission. Then, as I explained, in climate smart agriculture, we amend the soil with organic matters or fertilizers. We are not directly applying that to the plant. So we need to monitor the chlorophyll content in those plants. So for that, we use some spectrum-based indices. We call it as NDVI meters or SPAD meters. And that we go to the field and we use that tools for measuring the chlorophyll content in each crop. So the first one is the SPAD meter and second one is the NDVI meter. And the question is, why should we do both NDVI and SPAD? So if we use the NDVI meter, usually we can mount that to a drone or to a tractor. And at the same time, we can measure an entire field and we can get an idea how much is the chlorophyll content or nitrogen content in each crop. But at the same time, we consider the SPAD meter, that is a much more better indicator for representing the chlorophyll content in the crop. So the researchers always try to make a good relationship between NDVI, and SPAD meter. And we do the same here, and Dr. Atikur will be explaining more about that. So the next thing that we do here is the machine learning in agriculture. We apply the machine learning techniques generally. I have a slide on that. So if you attended the last workshop from Get Smart Agriculture, one professor from computer science department, he was explaining the importance of machine learning in agricultural fields. And the Bayer, the company, the crop company, one representative, he was also explaining how they are using these machine learning techniques in their fields or in their greenhouses. So people, the farmers or the researchers, they have already started researching the application of machine learning in agricultural fields. And the importance is it helps to get an idea about the crop or get an idea about the harvest before we harvest the crop. And it also helps to detect the disease in plants or the nutrition content in the plants, everything. And here we apply these machine learning techniques for quantifying chlorophyll contents. And at the same time, we apply it for quantifying the soil carbon dioxide emission from each organically amended fields. And based on these backgrounds, let me explain the objectives of our project. So we categorized our objectives to two. The first one is to investigate the effect of application of different soil amendment types. The different soil amendment types are chicken and dairy manures that we applied at different rates. I mean, 3 rates. As you see here, the first one is without any amendment. The second one is the 224, that is the recommended rate. And 448, that is the double recommended rate. And in all these plots, we applied biochar also at 2 different rates. 2.5, that's the recommended rate. And 5, that's double recommended rate. And we tried to, based on these amendments, we tried to quantify this chlorophyll content in each plants or in each plots. And we use some machine learning techniques, including classification and regression trees and generalized additive models. I will be explaining more on that to predict the soil carbon dioxide emission from these organically amended plots. And our field layout and some methodology, Dr. Atikur will be explaining now.
Thank you, Anup. I think Anup is not time to time. Some part I will present and I'll go with the as mentioned, the objective we use 2 types of menu. We use 2 menus as a measure of climate smart agriculture. So we use menus as the 3 rates Okay. Uh, the blue rectangles, they represent the plots treated with dairy manure. And the treatments were assigned randomly to the plots. We measured the quantities required for each individual plot, and we spread over the manure and biochar on the plot and mixed manually. After mixing, we labeled it and did sowing manually. And we also installed a drip irrigation system to irrigate sweet corn. For measuring carbon dioxide emission, we installed collar. We measured carbon dioxide emission from those collars. We monitored soil moisture throughout the growing season. We used sensors to sense the moisture content and logged and stored in a data logger. Soil temperature was also monitored and saved. We installed one weather station nearby our experimental plots, and we collected meteorological parameters from that weather station. In our experiment, we used a web-based irrigation scheduling tool. We call it Irriguise. Irriguise is developed by the Natural Resources and Environmental Systems group here at Prairie View A&M University. This app uses real-time and near real-time weather parameters to calculate the evapotranspiration. And using that evapotranspiration, it calculates the amount of irrigation required. So, and it provides, it basically schedules how much to irrigate and when to irrigate. So we use this app in our experiment. We irrigated our plots as seen in the figure, and also we performed weeding regularly in order to keep our plots away from any competition from the weeds. Excuse me. This figure shows the experimental plots. As we can see, the amendments affected the growth. In some plots, we see very good standings of sweet corn plants, and in some plots, we see some of them are struggling. Plants are struggling in some of the plots. So manures at different rate affected their growth. We measured carbon dioxide flask twice a week, and we measured from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. During the whole growing period. We maintained this sampling time to avoid any diurnal variation in carbon dioxide emission. We used Lycor 8100, a automated soil carbon dioxide gas flux system to measure on site. Also, we downloaded moisture, temperature, and weather data once in every week. We measured SPAD, as Onu mentioned. It measures the chlorophyll content of leaves. to indicate if the crop is suffering from nitrogen, or it is healthy, or it requires water. So this basically helps in-season nutrient management. So SPAD basically is measured by the ratio of transmittance of light at two bands. One is in near infrared and another is in red band. So it is the ratio of near infrared to red. The Minolta SPAD 502 meter was used in our study. We measured SPAD from leaves, from the tip, middle, and near the leaf sheath, and averaged them. The other spectral index is NDVI. It is the ratio of the reflectance of visible light to light reflectance at near infrared range. It basically indicates the crop health and also nitrogen level and chlorophyll level as well. So we also measured NDVI. We measured NDVI and SPAD at the same time, and we measured in a shiny day, I mean sunny day. It requires sufficient amount of light to get the good reading. A Field Scout CM 1000 NDVI meter was used to measure the NDVI and SPAD. When we measured, we usually measured measured between measured before afternoon, usually from 9 to 12. We measured NDVI and SPAD within this time frame. Here are some results of our experiments. I will discuss some brief results of the effect of amendment application as a climate smart practice on carbon dioxide emission, as well as some results on the effect of amendment application on the NDVI and SPAD. As you can see from this table, we see that amendment type and rate affected carbon dioxide emission significantly. And we also found the interaction effects between amendment type and rate, amendment type and biochar, manure and biochar, manure rate and biochar, and amendment type, rate, and biochar. If we average across carbon dioxide emission over all biochar, over different biochar rates, we didn't see any significant difference between two biochar application rates. If we average across different amendment type, we found that carbon dioxide emission significantly affected by the chicken manure types. Chicken manure significantly increased the carbon dioxide emission than the dairy manure. If we average across different application rates of manure, we see that the higher the application, the higher the emission, and the Double recommended doses of manure application significantly increased carbon dioxide emission than the control and recommended dose. We see some interaction effects between biochar and amendment types. Double rate of biochar and chicken manure significantly increased the carbon dioxide emission than the double recommended rate of biochar and dairy manure treated plots. Also, biochar and amendment rates showed some interaction effects. Double recommended doses of biochar and double recommended doses of manure application significantly increased carbon dioxide emission compared to the double recommended rate of biochar and control. This figure shows the carbon dioxide emissions from different treatments. As we can see from the box plot, that the middle one, the carbon dioxide emission was the highest for median carbon dioxide emission was the highest for double recommended doses of biochar and double recommended doses of manure and double rate of biochar. As we can see from this figure, that the median carbon dioxide emission rate from manure application, biochar application only emitted less carbon dioxide compared to control. The control is this one is the control. No fertilizer, no manure or biochar was used for this one. But as we can see, no manure was used in these two treatments, and these two treatments, the median emission rate was lower than the median emission from the control treatment. We found positive correlation between the carbon dioxide flask with the moisture content. This is the correlation. This figure shows the correlation between the chicken manure and a biochar, and this is dairy manure and biochar. As we can see, carbon dioxide flask is more controlled by their moisture content at higher application rates of amendments. And correlation of manure rates and carbon dioxide flask was stronger between in chicken than dairy manure treated plots. This is the result of ANOVA analysis for SPAD and NDVI collected at 4 nitrogen rates and 2 manure types and 4 stages of sweet corn. This is basically the result from the different experiment that was conducted in 2021. We used manure in there as a climate smart agricultural practices. We didn't use any biochar in there. Here again, we have noticed a significant effect of manure application on the crop nitrogen, crop chlorophyll level. Crop growth and crop growth stage rate and manure type, they significantly affected the SPAD and NDVI. But we didn't notice any significant interaction effects of growth stage and rate, growth stage and type, and growth stage rate and type. We can see from this figure that the high rate of application of a manure significantly increased SPAD compared to the low and control. And also high rate of for the figure at the right, this one, we see the mean NDVI is significantly affected, significantly increased compared to the control. And this figure shows the interaction between the rate and the manure types. Again, chicken manure at high rate, higher application rate, significantly increase the mean SPAD values compared to the control and low rate of dairy manure. Now I'm handing over to Anup. He will discuss more about our machine learning application in climate smart agriculture practices.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Atikur. Next, yeah, I will try to explain some machine learning practices that we used in our study. The first one that we applied is decision tree. It's also called, if it's a classification problem, we call it as a classification tree. So generally it is called as CART. It's classification and regression tree. So as you see here, the output, we get it as a tree. So what it does is, so if we have a lot of predictor variables, then that split the predictor space to a number of simple regions based on the output variables. So based on that splitted regions and the output variables corresponding to that, it will make a relationship, and in that relationship we can get or we can make the decisions. So for example here, so it's trying to predict it's saying like it's a car. So it's asking some question like, is it alive? So no. So does it fly? Or then obviously it's not a animal. Then finally it is finding that it's a car. So similarly, we use the same thing in our decision or in the regression analysis. So the next tool that we used is called a random forest. So the random forest, basically it's a group of trees. So it makes hundreds of trees, or we can assign the number. I mean, we are using R software for that. So generally in that software, it takes or it generates like 500 trees, and based on that 500 trees, it calculates the average. Then yeah, we expect if we use a random forest, we get much more better results than a decision tree. Then the last one is called a generalized additive model, or GAM. So it's basically it's a linear model. So even I was thinking it's a non-linear model, but it's addition of a lot of linear model. So what it does is, as you see here, it splits the entire data to different regions. And for that small region, it will try to fit the line. And this line, you can see this dotted line. That dotted line, we can assign the width of that dotted line by degrees of freedom. So if you give or if you increase the degrees of freedom, then the or the smoothness of that regression line, that will increase. But there is a limit for that. You cannot give it as 10 or 15. Usually in our practices, we have less data, so we give it 2 or 3. So when I tried with 3 degrees of freedom, then we were getting some good results. So some results based on our machine learning approaches. So the first one is a linear fit. as you see here. So from that direct analysis of NDVI and SPAD, we got an R value. We are not showing the R square value here. So we are only showing the correlation coefficient. It was 0.64. So in the next figure, we can see that generalized additive models. So there we tried to, or there we predicted the NDVI, the SPAD meter readings using NDVI. So those predictor readings that you can see in the x-axis, then the measured SPAD, the SPAD meter readings using the SPAD meter that you can see in the x-axis. In the y-axis, you can see the SPAD, the predicted SPAD using NDVI. So we can see the R value increased from 0.64 to 0.71, but we tried the same analysis using random forest, but as you see here, the result decreased. R value came back to 0.56. Then we applied the machine learning things in our carbon dioxide, soil carbon dioxide emission. So these are direct linear regression. As you see here, it's a correlation between soil carbon dioxide emission and the soil water content. And as you see here, this the CXBX means chicken recommended rate and biochar recommended rate. When it is only C, that is recommended, and when it is 2, that means it's double the recommended. So as you see here, when you have the CXB2X, the correlation R value is higher than the recommended rates. And it increases with respect to the double chicken rate. It reached up to 0.74, but when we added double recommended rate of biochar, that again came back to 0.559. And for the dairy, it's the same with respect to, I don't have the R values here, but as you see here, we had good relation when the dairy rate was double recommended. So based on that relationship, we tried to plot some decision trees. So as I explained, you can see here when, I can explain this third figure, it looks good. When the chicken rate is double recommended and the biochar is recommended, when the soil moisture is less than 0.13, less than or equal to 0.13, the soil carbon dioxide emission varies from maybe 50 kilogram hectare per day to 250 kilogram hectare per day. And when it is higher than 0.13 and lesser than or equal to 0.23, it varies from 150 to, or the median value is higher than 200. So that's how we analyze a tree. And the same thing we did for dairy. We had some good relationship when the DX-B2X, that means recommended rate of dairy and double recommended rate of biochar. And the decision trees, that was looking like this. And again, our next variable was the temperature, the air temperature. Because he showed, we installed a weather station in our field. So we have all the measurements of weather parameters like temperature, rainfall, relative humidity and everything. And we tried to compare the relationship between air temperature and soil carbon dioxide emission from each organically amended fields. So the results are looking like this. So the interesting thing here is, here the correlation is positive. That means when with respect to increasing temperature, we can see the soil carbon dioxide is increasing. The emission is increasing in recommended rate of chicken and biochar. We got an R value of 0.32. And the same thing for dairy, it's increasing with respect to temperature. but uh, for remaining everything, the relationship is like decreasing. So for increasing temperature, we can see a decreasing trend of soil carbon dioxide emission. So that's one of our results. That's the thing I explained in the introduction slides, that we need more research in this area, that we really don't know what's going on. It may be related to some soil microbes or yeah. And after that, we did some multi or linear regressions using both the parameters like the soil moisture and the temperature. So we can see the results. I only show the correlation coefficient here. That increased up to 0.67 for CXBX, and we can see some values that's higher than 0.8. See 0.84 for double recommended rate of chicken and biochar. Then after that, we applied these GAM models. It's linear models or additive linear models. And we can see the results. There is a tremendous increase in our R values. As you see here, it's the R value reached up to 0.89. So I did not calculate the MSC or the root mean square value. So we will be calculating that, and we will have much more better idea on these results. So, but I want to say that when we use this machine learning models, so we can find or we can establish a good results that explains the variability in measured carbon dioxide emission and the predicted carbon dioxide emission. Then, yeah, next, yeah, I will explain on this. It's our extension and research outreach activities that we conducted based on our field experiments. So, yeah, if you remember last year in May 26th, we conducted a field day. So different stakeholders from different companies, agriculture related companies, and we had more than 15 county agents here, extension agents. Then we have a lot of researchers here for attending that field day. And as you see here, we explained field demonstration. We demonstrated all the tools that we use in our climate smart agriculture field. And you can see Atikur, he's explaining about the soil carbon dioxide emission tool from Lycor. And we showed them how these soil amendments are influencing the growth of sweet corn. Yeah, it's our next outreach program. Or we have a project going on with UT Austin, University of Texas, Austin. Each year they visit us and we teach them the importance of natural resources management, including our climate smart agriculture. So in this one figure, you can see the students from UT Austin, and Nikos, he's teaching them how to do some measurements. In the same plot, we have students from REEU program. They are from Texas A&M. And at the same time, we have some students from schools, Waller County schools. And yeah, it shows it's a very good example of our extension or outreach activities that we conducted in our field. And sometimes last year we went outside. There was a Waller County Fair rodeo. So we went to that place. I forgot the name of that place. It's fairground. Yeah, it's that. There was a big ground. Then we demonstrated the tools that we are using in our fields. And I remember Dr. El Hassan, he carried that the water quality measuring instrument, and we had a lot of people. They were very interested to check their water quality. So you can see, yeah, he's explaining how to use these water quality measuring tools. I think this one. And they were very impressed on that, and they were saying they will visit our campus and they want to see or check more about their groundwater or the water in their well. And as Dr. Faris explained, we created like 6 fact sheets that explains different topics related to the climate smart agriculture. The first one is the chlorophyll and plant health determination. Then we have fact sheets related to soil carbon dioxide emission, then each stage of corn growth development, then how can we measure this, the nutrient dynamics in the soil. Then we have fact sheets on, we had a cover crop last year. We put crimson clover and Binida, she developed this fact sheets based on that cover crop experiment. And he did the last one related to the soil moisture monitoring. Also, in total, we have 6 fact sheets. And the conclusions, Dr. Atikur will be explaining the conclusions of our results.
Thank you, Anup. Some conclusions from our study. Soil carbon dioxide flux was significantly affected by the manure types, rates, and their interactions. Carbon dioxide flux increased with the increased rate of manure application. The highest carbon dioxide was observed for double recommended doses of chicken manure applications. Carbon dioxide flux was strongly correlated with the soil moisture. Flux decreased when soil moisture level was lower in lower amendment rates. Analysis showed that manure type, rate, and growth stages significantly affected NDVI, SPAD and NDVI values, but no interaction effects among treatment variables were detected. Among the machine learning tools, generalized additive models performed the best, and we found good correlation between in predicting carbon dioxide as well as a chlorophyll level of crops. Would like to acknowledge funding from different donor organizations and also College of Agriculture and Human Sciences for providing opportunities and facilities. Thank you all.
Okay, question and answer for Atikur and for Anup. First of all, thank you for an excellent presentation. I commend you for the work that you have been doing and also the great presentation that you had representing the work of the team, of the entire team. So questions and answers. They presented lots of information, so you may want to ask them a few questions. Let me check if there is anything online.
Do you have any question, Dr. Jayant?
Yeah, why the dairy manure performed better than the chicken manure? What was the reason behind it?
In terms of crop performance, it worked better. But if we want to store carbon, it didn't do that good. If we see the composition of manures, we see chicken manure contains more nutrients than the. This could be one reason, but we need to study more to see why. For carbon dioxide emission, why it is not doing or containing carbon in the soil compared to dairy manure. But in terms of crop performance, the dairy manure, chicken manure is better than the dairy manure.
Okay. Dr. Eric Obiang, he's going to ask you a question. Obiang, right?
Thank you very much for the insightful presentation. I really enjoyed it. And I want to know, so economically and environmentally, which of the manures will you recommend in terms of the impacts? Which one?
So you need to contact the other postdoc who works on economics, right? No, but that's an excellent question, because at the end of the day, farmers are producers, so they need to make a living. So economics are key there. So they need which one makes is economically viable. So that's an important thing. But at the same time here, because of the environmental aspect, the other component of your question, also right now, as you know, there is this carbon market. So which of the organic amendment persist in the soil more than the other, which basically sequester carbon in the soil. That's another, that's how we can, if farmers get carbon credits, which basically getting money for doing the right thing, for helping increasing the carbon sequestration, then it needs to be a part of the equation of evaluating the economical value of the crop. But in order for them to do a recommendation, which basically why we are here to do, give recommendation for farmers, etc., they need to do the economical analysis. They need to do, we're a little ahead of that, but I think definitely that's a goal that we should aim for, right? Okay, if you don't have any other question, I think we're over time, but let's thank our speaker one more time for their presentation. And thank you for coming. And hopefully next week we will have a better turnout, because this week I understand we have other activities across campus for our Cash Week. Thank you.